Hello, welcome to another nightmare of a game week, but this time at least I've got company in despair because I think it's been a pretty tough game week for most people. And I'm going to be advising people to just hold on, have a little patience. We've all pretty much had an awful game week, so try not to do anything too crazy. So a brief overview of my team. It looks like an absolute nightmare. And the biggest killer, if you watched last week, guys, you know I took Saliba out instead of Saka. Of course, he went ahead and scored a screamer from the edge of the box with his left foot for only his second senior goal to get 14 points, as the rest of my entire defense and goalkeeper scored a whopping 4 points. And of course, it took me a -4 to take out Saliba as well, just so I can get Gabriel Jesus in. And just, that's FPL, that happens. But going through the back line then, most people's defenses were slaughtered, with the top 3 out of the best 4 defenses in Chelsea, Manchester City and Liverpool conceding 9 goals, and 3 against Newcastle, 3 against Leeds and 2 against Manchester United. It was not a week for big at the back. My Arsenal double up in midfield, Martinelli is still having a fantastic start to the season, while Saka is still a little bit on the quiet front. But I went with Saka over Saliba, and again, just like I said at the start of this video, I'm going to be pleading caution and to have a little bit of patience. I'm probably going to be keeping hold of Saka because of the fixtures that are coming up. Salah coming up with a goal, a much needed captaincy goal to keep me under 5 million rank, and I really needed him to do something, and pretty much out of nowhere with a header he managed to get on the score sheet quite late in the game. But surprisingly then, going from big at the back, and I decided to go with more strikers, and it has paid off because I got an assist from Gabriel Jesus, which didn't mean a lot because actually he worked against my team this week because of effective ownership. His captaincy was high, over 100%, which means whatever he did was negative against my team. So him getting an assist was bad for me, but at least it wasn't worse because he did have a fantastic game, and another day he probably could have scored a couple of goals. Speaking of scoring goals, Haaland and Mitrovic, both of these players were very unlucky not to score more. Haaland showed great strength when he was thrown goal on one chance and had it saved. A few good saves from Pope. One he blazed over as well from a snapshot. And Mitrovic, honestly guys, I watched this game. It was a great game with Fulham and Brentford. He did score in the end, but he had a one-on-one chance where there wasn't anyone near him for like 20 yards because it was a bad back pass from Brentford. On Palhinha's goal, who headed it in right behind Palhinha's head, was Mitrovic's face. Honestly guys, on another day Mitrovic would have scored at least 2 or 3 goals. And looking back to last week, when he misses a penalty, gets -1, he scores that, he's probably getting 7 or 8 points. It feels like he's one of the unluckiest FPL players so far, but the forward line doing good for me at the moment, and I think a lot of people will be looking at going towards not 5 at the back, but maybe 3 or 4, and maybe investing a little bit more in those midfield and forward slots. Finishing off with my bench, and a lot of people had good benches this week because obviously Andreas Pereira there with 8 points. He was 3rd bench for me because he still had that knock and I wasn't too confident in his fitness going into that game. Almiron, the man I've banged the drum about and I've had since game week 1, looked very lively. He almost got a goal and assist before he actually did get his goal, and after as well. I thought he had a really good performance, and like I said, for 5 million in a very, very good looking Newcastle side is great value. And then Ward, a lot of people have him as their sub, or a lot have him as their starter because he's 4 million, but Leicester just don't look like getting any clean sheets. And that also goes for Neco Williams as well, who is great going forward, but I just don't have any faith in that Nottingham Forest defence. So we finished the game week on 41 points, 45 points -4, with a game week rank just under 6 million, but it was really tight guys. I saw a lot of scores between 25 and 65 points, so I don't think there's a lot inside that game week rank. It was a tough week for most, so we just got to shake it off and look forward. So thinking of the transfer ideas that I have, there is a potential that I could go from Saka to Diaz, but again, following on from the thread I mentioned about Liverpool's isolation and attack issues without quality in their central midfield, I still don't feel comfortable going towards Liverpool. And Arsenal's fixtures still look fantastic. Liverpool have some great fixtures, don't get me wrong, but I still think the Arsenal attack are firing on all cylinders, and it's just going to take one game for Saka to explode. So I am going to keep the faith and most likely be rolling the transfer. And for those of you out there worried about your teams and thinking that it's all gone wrong in this game week, let's look forward, because I bet the players that you have really nice fixtures, so don't do anything too rash. Going in goal then, we have Edison, who is at home to Crystal Palace, who have looked very good to be fair, and with Zaha in good form, people might be a little bit shaky on a double up in defence, but I'm going to stick with the Man City stopper. Going at the back, we have Trent. A lot of people having the Trent and Robbo double up. They're feeling a little bit worried about keeping hold of that, but they have Bournemouth at home, who have just been back-to-back thrashed 4-0 by Arsenal and Manchester City. Going on with James against Leicester at home. So again, these are home fixtures for good clubs. James has been averaging one of the best points per game of all the defenders and all the players in FPL for the last year or so, and he's at home to Leicester, who look very shaky at the moment. And alongside Cucurella, we have at home as well, even though, look at the positives, Chelsea were bad and they conceded a lot of goals and a lot of chances. He was getting into some very promising positions. Kyle Walker here as well, so the double Chelsea, double City defense, both at home against sides where I could see clean sheets. Going in midfield, we're going to go with Mo Salah again, captain probably this week against Bournemouth at home. Again, just said about it earlier, the fact that they have conceded 8 goals in 2 games, and Salah has been getting the goals still. Saka and Martinelli, they keep those places as the Arsenal midfielders inside my team. I just love that attack, and I think I need to be a little bit more patient. And again, having Fulham at home, Fulham have been great in attack with Andreas and Mitrovic, but they have conceded a lot of chances and a few goals as well. Speaking of Mitrovic, I'm going to start him. I'm going to keep faith with him as well. I've been impressed. He could be a little bit more clinical, but when the ball is in the air and in the box, he is up there as one of the most dangerous players in the Premier League, if not the world. He's such an aerial threat, and if Andreas and Mitrovic can improve that link that's growing between them, he could be still a really great asset for his price. Haaland at home to Crystal Palace. Again, lots of opportunities for him against Newcastle. If he gets a bit more of a clinical edge, he's going to be hauling most games. And Gabriel Jesus is at home to Fulham as well. And again, I've run out of superlatives here for this Arsenal attack. I just need Saka to join Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus in getting me some points. Going to my bench then, we can see Ward, of course, is on there against Chelsea. Almiron is there away to Wolves as my first sub, with Andreas as my second sub and Williams as my third. Williams is most likely going to stay there for the majority of this season, until at least we get the World Cup wildcard. So looking at the starting 11 then, I am happy with this. I only have one player away from home, and that's Mitrovic against Arsenal, so I'm not expecting a lot from a under 7 million striker. The rest of my team are at home. Two of the fixtures, so 5 of my players against newly promoted sides. I've got Chelsea against a lackluster Leicester. Granted, they could always score goals. And I've got the double defence at home. Man City, still the best defence in the Premier League, at home to Crystal Palace. The thing I will say about this side though, and a lot of people are going to have the exact same problem here, because we are full of teams with top 6 players. The Champions League is coming, and one of the thoughts I've had is maybe doing something like Haaland to Tony, just because Pep has come out and directly said that he's not going to play all the games when Manchester City are playing every 3 or 4 days. Alvarez is going to be playing in that position, but if Haaland's on the bench and he comes off for 20 minutes and he plays 90 minutes, you can always argue that Haaland is a threat no matter really how long he plays. But if we've got teams full of top 6 players, don't be surprised if we often now see some rotation, especially because the Champions League is going to be starting, as well as other European fixtures which have already begun, like in the Europa Conference, and the Europa League is coming too. So make sure your benches are sorted out. Don't do anything rash. It was just one crazy game with crazy results. Hold faith with what you've got. If you want a wild card, then that's fine as well. But I still think the players that are key in the template, all the popular players in defense and midfield and attack, are still going to come good. And you don't want to do anything crazy now and go full tilt, which is the poker turn where you've lost a hand and then you go a little bit crazier to try and earn back what you've lost. I think try and stay with the pack now. In my case, I've got to catch up to the pack and play on from there. Don't do anything crazy, guys. Hopefully, I'll see you guys on Saturday morning for the live stream again at around 8 AM UK time. That would be fantastic. If you do like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And as always, have a good one.